Hello, everybody. Economic Ninja here. We're going to talk about something that's going on over at JPMorgan Chase Bank. We're going to talk about the truth that needs to come out right now. We are going to need to start demanding this. But before I read this story, I need you to understand that you are part of a grand plan to be forced. You are going to be forced to accept a digital currency. And one of the ways that you will be forced is you will be ostracized if you do not eventually get into it. There's many phases of this plan. One phase is to give away free money that's digital currency to people so that they spend it and it's easier to use it. There's no mystery behind it. They're going to use stories like only bad people use paper currency because they do illegal things like deal drugs or sell people. They're going to tell you things like, oh, there's germs on those paper bills. We've got to get you into this digital stuff so that we don't transmit the flu. Things like that. And it is a multi-year process. Type 1 if you understand this. Type 2 if you have more questions. And if you do, type 2 in the question you have about this plan. But I want you to understand this. There are illegal things right now that go on with the US dollar, the physical currency, and bank accounts that are just ones and zeros themselves that are not stopped. There's money laundering all around the world, some of which our own government, most of which our own government is involved in. These new banking rules that are coming out are not intended to protect you. They are intended to control you. Just like gun laws. Gun laws are intended to take the one way of protecting yourself out of your hands, this law-abiding citizen's hands, and then put the advantage on the criminal that does not care about laws. They will carry and they will hurt you. And they will do it with more confidence because they are pretty confident that you have no way of defending yourself. And this is very, very serious. These lies are going to be perpetrated during an economic collapse, so that so many people will dive right in, hook, line, and sinker. They will accept this digital currency. And I don't want you in a position where you're begging for it. I want you in a position where when you take it, you buy assets with it, not get yourself into more liabilities. So let's read the story. This is out of Zero Hedge. If you guys can do me a favor and share this, I would appreciate it. Why? Because I don't think that there are people that want this shared. This is a story out of Zero Hedge. It's entitled, Time to Name the Clients. JPMorgan has been flagged over $1 billion in suspicious Epstein transfers. We are talking about the nation's largest bank, the behemoth. JPMorgan flagged over $1 billion in suspicious transactions linked to deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, which the bank reported to the U.S. government. The U.S. Virgin Islands has claimed in its lawsuit against the bank. JPMorgan was a full-service bank for Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking, said Mimi Liu, an attorney for the USVI, which says the enormous sum bolsters key allegations in their legal action against the bank, which they say knowingly benefited from Epstein's wrongdoings. Bloomberg reports noting that this is the first time in the case that the sheer volume of Epstein's financial activity at JPMorgan over a 16-year period has been disclosed. Let me be very frank with you. I am reading a news story. I know what can happen when I share certain topics. I don't care how hard I've worked and what I've accomplished. I would still share with you the truth, even if it means something happens to the channel. Because the truth has to come out. We need that list. We need to know the evil people that are behind the scenes funding these operations. Type the number 11 if you watch The Sounds of Freedom. Type number 11 if you understand why they wanted that movie hidden. And I thank the Lord for groups like, was it Angel Studios, that took it on their shoulders and went and found and raised the money to get that out. After watching the movie, you'd go, why would they want you to not watch this movie? I believe that at the highest echelon of our government lies these people that are being hidden in this. And I declare in the name of Jesus Christ that these names be released now. And if you agree with me in that statement, I want you to say that out loud. Declare it. Because where one or more are gathered, Christ is with us. And it is time to see this spiritual battle won. It says here, the suspicious activity was detailed in a 2019 filing to the U.S. Department of Treasury. A U.S. VI attorney told a federal court in Manhattan on Thursday the filing was made after Epstein died in a Manhattan jail cell a month after his arrest on sex trafficking charges. Epstein had been with the bank from the late 1990s through 2013 when they finally cut ties with him. Epstein notoriously trafficked some of his victims to a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. JPMorgan denies that it let Epstein's activities slide and says it reported around 150 cash transactions to the federal regulator between 2002 and 2013. Do you believe that, and put yes or no, do you believe that there were only 150 cash transactions between the year 2002 and 2013 in those accounts? Do you believe that, yes or no? How do you feel when you go in and you deposit cash or you withdraw cash and you have to essentially sign away some information going to the IRS proving that you're not a criminal? You just have to do it once and they fill out if it's a large enough amount or if it's over $10,000 in a banking cycle, you've got to go and you're going to get a report sent to the IRS. I don't believe for 1 second it was just 150. It says last month, the U.S. Virgin Islands told the judge in the case that the bank facilitated over 1.1 million in payments from Jeffrey Epstein to girls or women, many of whom had Eastern European surnames. Over 320,000 of the payments were made to numerous individuals for whom JPMorgan had no previously identified payments. Singer wrote, accusing the bank of failing to disclose the payments until after the end of discovery, the period in which parties in a lawsuit exchange evidence. The bank claims that's irrelevant because the U.S. Virgin Islands doesn't have legal standing to claim JPMorgan obstructed a trafficking investigation because it wasn't a victim. So right there, they're not being forthcoming. What are we doing as a nation to stand up against this? I will tell you that light is shining through the darkness. I do understand that. But I want to take a sledgehammer and I want to break that wall down. I want more light coming through. And the only way it comes through is if we stand together. And as you declare this over this situation, I bind the enemy in the name of Jesus Christ, the demonic forces at power in these banks that are hiding the truth, the facts of evil people that are doing evil to our children, our women, and the less fortunate and weak. I bind them to where they are not allowed, they are not able to hide the truth anymore. I call forth whistleblowers in the name of Jesus Christ over these banks. Now, I have to say this in front of you, and I believe that there are some of you right now, probably 95% of you right now, that are saying the exact same thing, that are agreeing with me in prayer, because as we do it, heaven opens up. It's time. This is a spiritual battle. We do not battle against flesh and blood. We're having a battle right now in the spirit realm. And the one thing that Satan has done to control this world over the last handful of centuries, a long time, is the control of money. That's why I invest in God's money. That's why I own gold and silver. That's why, not that I believe it's ever going to take over, but I do believe there will be one day an explosion in the value of it. It happens every once in a while when a currency collapses or another country takes over the world's reserve status. It's never in our timing, but it does happen. And that's why I hold on to that. Going back into the story, With that said, Liu is urging the judge in the case to decide various claims in the U.S. Virgin Islands' favor without a trial. The only reason that JPMorgan, after 16 years, reported that $1 billion in suspicious transactions was because he was arrested and then he was dead, she said. JPMorgan claims he had no idea of what Epstein was up to, pointing to the depositions from current and former employees who say they had no knowledge of the trafficking. There is hotly disputed testimony and evidence, said Philelia Ellensworth, an attorney for the bank. The U.S. Virgin Islands is seeking at least $190 million from JPMorgan. The case is U.S. Virgin Islands versus JPMorgan Chase Bank in the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York. I am demanding the truth to come out. But because I can't go to other men to stand up for what is right, I'm going to God. And we are going to see the truth come out. And then all of us will be able to make the exact same decision: who we support and who we don't support, what banks we will go to, what banks we will not go to. Thank you so much for watching this. The Economic Ninja is out.